Remember back when I said I want to play more Sonic games for the 4th time? I sure as hell don't. Welcome everybody to Let's Play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Because I had forgotten that this game existed entirely back when I played Shadow the Hedgehog. So, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is an interesting game. I'll explain all of its little intricacies as we play along. I'll just say right now, we have a couple characters we can choose from. And jump right into this. So we have Sonic and Tails, we have Sonic on his own, Tails on his own, and then we have Knuckles. Fun stuff. I'm going to be doing 2 playthroughs of this game, one as Sonic and Tails, and one as Knuckles. I'm not going to be playing through as Tails, because he plays through the same levels that Sonic does. But I will show a little bit of gameplay with him in a bonus episode, I think. That'll involve other things as well. Anyways, let's go! Alright, so this game is actually pretty much a direct continuation of Sonic 2. As you can see, we've collected all the Chaos Emeralds. That matters, since we can just get emeralds knocked right out of us, I guess. So, Sonic 2, we dismantled the Death Egg, which then proceeded to fall onto this island floating way up in the sky called Angel Island. And we end up weighing it down, bringing it back onto sea level, and thus we were able to come all the way down here on the tornado. So it turns out that originally, man, I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm not going to be able to say everything before I actually I can say other things. But, anyway. See, and now I'm not paying attention. And enemies are despawning. Ow! Mess. Ugh. Right, so this game is actually pretty much a direct continuation of Sonic 2. As you can see, we have all the Chaos Emeralds. Tails has a new booster on his tornado. And, boop. Apparently being super doesn't mean crap anymore, so say goodbye to the Chaos Emeralds for now. So originally, that intro actually had Sonic on a surfboard, I believe? And he wasn't super. Something rather odd. I want to put some of the game's files. You can look it up on YouTube if you feel like it. But this game is pretty much a direct continuation of Sonic 2. In the ending of Sonic 2, you dismantle the Death Egg, which then ends up in this game crash landing here on Angel Island, which was, at the time, floating way up in the sky, because it does that for some reason. But, ultimately the Death Egg weighted down, and now it's down on sea level where we can easily reach it. We followed to investigate, and here we are. So, if you remember where all these Chaos Emeralds are that we just lost, they're in these big special stages. They're in these special stages, hidden by that red guy that just knocked him out of us. All you have to do is go into those giant rings. They're usually found inside walls and whatnot. Through walls you have to break, or just through walls that you can actually go straight through. And you'll go into a little mini-game called Blue Sphere. I'll be talking a little bit more about this particular game later on. But, all I'll have to tell you about now is touch the blue spheres, don't touch red spheres, that's pretty much it. The white spheres with stars on them, and will just make you bounce backwards if you touch them. And you'll begin running backwards, which is kind of hard to control, so try not to have that happen. As time goes on, things will get moving more quickly, the music will go on more quickly, it's try to stay slow. Alright, so you pick up all of the, if you turn all of the spheres blue, or red, if you turn every single blue sphere red, you'll get a Chaos Emerald. Hooray. So, one step closer back to, not super anymore, I guess. Now, if you pick up 50 rings in a special stage, as you saw there, some rings would appear whenever I would surround a blue sphere with red spheres. If you pick up 50 of those rings, you'll get Continue. If you pick up all the rings in a stage, you'll get a, what was it? You'll just get a lot of points. You'll get what's called Perfect, and give you a ton of points. So, you can't see it right now, but what I just picked up is actually a shield. This game has some interesting shields. It has 3 shields, and not all of them have their own unique abilities. This is a water shield. It's the only shield that isn't destroyed when you go on water. And if you press the jump button while in midair, you can now bounce. You can also push this. There are a couple of things in this game you can push, which you wouldn't expect. For some reason, whenever you're invincible, you can't see your shield anymore. But you can also breathe underwater when using this shield. Every shield has an active effect and a passive effect. Only Sonic can make use of its active effect, which is done by just pressing the jump button again while you're in midair. Anyways, onwards. Now, if you have enough rings, at least 20, I think, whenever you pass a goalpost or checkpoint, you'll see this happen. A ring of stars will appear at the checkpoint, and come on, get in there. If you go into that big ring, you can enter a special stage. Depending on how many rings you have, you'll enter a different stage. Not special stage, bonus stage. I'm pretty content with all these rings, actually, so I'm just going to stay here. This particular stage is a slot machine. If you get 3 of the same thing, you'll get lots of rings, or if you get 3 Robotniks, you will lose 100 rings. And the jackpot functions as a wild card. But wait, I wasn't supposed to talk about that. So I'm not going to talk about that yet. Damn it. I'm meticulously planning out what I'm going to say and when in this particular playthrough, just because, I don't know, I'll make sure every minute is quality content with me saying interesting things, so I don't want to say everything all at once, because I won't have things to say for Knuckles' playthrough. But something I will say, when it comes to these blue sphere stages, it's not really about memorizing stages, although that, of course, helps. It's more about just generally figuring out how to play them in the first place. You don't need to memorize them at all, you just need to know how to basically just not touch red spheres. How to take advantage of jumping and all that weird stuff. Being able to keep calm when you get going really, really fast. All that fun stuff. Oh, I gotta continue too. That's rare. And basically just always following certain patterns, like making circles of red spheres to turn blue spheres into rings, as well as getting some red spheres out of the way, so you're not getting up accidentally touching them. That's Chaos Emerald number 2. Speaking of music. Anyways. So what Sonic and 3 Knuckles actually is something I'm going to touch upon in just a minute. But for now, really fucking how? Well, I'm no perfect player of this game, but so something I feel I should point out actually that I've been making use of, I haven't been showing. When you jump and if you don't have a shield and you press the jump down again in the air, you'll do this right here. It's called the Insta Shield. Just flash a little shield around yourself, and for the entirety of it, which is very, very short, you'll be invincible actually. Which doesn't really do much, but the main thing is it actually increases your hitbox. So for example, when I'm jumping next to this monitor right here, nothing happens. If I use Insta Shield, I can actually hit that monitor from a greater distance. This particular shield is the Electric Shield, which does guard me from electric attacks, or electric hazards, but those only appear in the final stage of the game. But, as you can see here, its active ability is a double jump, which is very, very useful, as you might be able to imagine. Its passive ability is tracking rings, which is, once again, incredibly useful. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you go into the water, it will disappear, this particular shield. So wondering why these rocks are right here that we can actually get through. That's because we're going through them as Knuckles, because this game's cool like that, and have different paths for different characters. Unless you're playing as Tails, then you just get Sonic's path. So what I see right there is those projectiles from that flower are actually deflected by my shield. If you have a shield, no matter what shield you have, it will deflect projectiles, which is incredibly useful. As you can see right here, some bosses are just ridiculously easy. But the active ability of this new shield that we just saw, this is the third and last shield we're going to be encountering, is kind of mid-air dash, which is, it has its uses, I guess. And its passive ability is not being harmed by fire attacks, which is actually very, very useful. This includes things like walking on lava, which is very, very useful, and not being hurt by the thrusters of Robotnik's various machines, which is once again incredibly useful. Anyways, I'm gonna stop hitting this. Whenever you pass the first act of a stage, of a zone, that is, a nice little sign will drop out from the sky, and you can just kind of keep jumping and knocking up into the air if you feel like it. 100 points each time. And if you're lucky, when it hits the ground, it'll actually drop a monitor, which may contain a shield or just a couple of rings. Anyways, new music. And time for another. So this is another simple special stage. A lot of these special stages are really linear. Well, a couple of them. You just follow an exact path the whole time. In this case, you just go from room to room. Pick up every sphere in every room. And then you reach the end, and by the time you reach the end, assuming you haven't missed any blue spheres, which is pretty hard to do in all honesty, you'll just have completed the stage. As you can see, these walls around each room, made of red spheres, are only 2 spheres thick, which means I can actually jump over them if I try hard enough. But it's by far easiest to just do what I'm doing now and just play by the rules and go through each room individually. Plus, you need to go pick up these blue spheres in between the rooms as well. As you can see, it's not really about memorizing all these different special stages. It's just being able to it's being able to follow a path, basically, and being able to do tight turns, as you'll see later on, but that's something we will talk about when we encounter it. So you might be wondering, what the hell is Sonic 3 and Knuckles? You may have heard of Sonic 3, you may have heard Sonic and Knuckles. But you may have not heard of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Well, see, it turns out... Well, I can go back up here. Simple. Cool, I guess. Anyways. Like how you get to use those spikes as platforms. Anyways, so when Sonic 3 was first made, what ended up happening was it was a friggin' huge game, and it was really cool, and it was stuffed with too much content and too impressive to all be contained in one game because of issues with hardware, budget, all that stuff, and from as well as time constraints, because Sega wanted the game to be released in time for Christmas to get lots of sales, which is a pretty common business tactic. So they end up having to somewhat rush development to get out before then, and then they end up having to split the game into 2, and then they learn from their mistakes of rushing things to meet certain deadlines, and then thus never rushed game development again. Yeah, no, but I'm not sure if that whole Christmas thing actually holds any ground, because having looked at the release date of this game, which is pretty early in the year, I think, of, I think it was 92, it doesn't look like this was actually released for Christmas at all, so I'm not, so even though I've read that story a couple places, I don't think that was the case. But anyways, Whoop, let's not go into the water with our electric shield. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I don't have so much time to talk about this. So, what was it? Oh, yes. So, the two games were split into Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. However, yeah, another bonus stage. Oh god, I thought I was going to get Hero Potniks. So, they were split into Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, which are direct continuations of one another. And they play pretty much exactly the same. They are continuations of one another's story, just like Sonic 3 is of Sonic 2, except they're even more closely related. Which is kind of awkward, except Sonic and Knuckles had a serious art quality boost, which is pretty cool. I'm just gonna stop now. Hey. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles, when it was released shortly after Sonic 3, includes something interesting called lock-on technology, where you just stick another game cartridge into the top of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, normally doing this would just kind of get you a screen of the main cast saying no way whenever you boot up your Sonic 3 Knuckles game if you have any RAM cartridge inserted. There's something else you can do at that point, but I'll talk about that later. Now if you're stuck in Sonic 2, it let you play what was called, what was it, Knuckles in Sonic 2? Which is exactly what it sounds like. You got to play as Knuckles in Sonic 2. Which was actually somewhat difficult because the game wasn't made for Knuckles, who actually runs slower than Sonic does and doesn't run as high as Sonic does. And backtracking for some reason. And the bosses in particular were somewhat difficult because you couldn't jump very high. But anyways, it was if you put Sonic 1 into the slot using lock-up technology, unfortunately, you couldn't play as Knuckles in Sonic 1 because, from what I've read, the developers had issues with palettes and just weren't able to make Knuckles' palette work in the game. But if you stuck Sonic 3 into... Oh, that was particularly slow. Oh, I thought the screen flashes white when you enter water with the electric shield. But, if you put Sonic 3 into there, instead of... I don't want to concentrate on talking around crap when I'm playing a special stage. If you put Sonic 3 into Sonic and Knuckles, you would play what was called Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is this game, which is a merge of the two games. The two games are even more interconnected. You play them straight back to back, without any kind of interruption, so it really is just one continuous story. And I'll let you do some other special things that I couldn't do in the separate games, that I will explain once again as we encounter them. Because there's actually a lot, and it's all really cool stuff. And a couple of bugs were even fixed, actually, from what I recall. I'm not sure what bugs were fixed, so I can't really name off the top of my head, because I'm not that familiarized with Sonic 3 and Knuckles glitches. But it lets you play the game, two games actually, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, as they were originally intended, which I think is pretty darn cool. As one game. Words. There's a fire shield up here, isn't there? That was dumb of me. These things like to disappear. Clickable walls. And more shields. But yes, that was a rather interesting way of handling things. I'm not sure if anything like that actually being thought of at that point with the Sega Genesis, was it? Yeah. Anyways. There are also other ways to play Sonic 3 Knuckles, though. Primarily, you could play it on Sonic Mega Collection, which is actually how I first found out about Sonic 3 Knuckles. Tails is just walking, he doesn't care. Tails, whatever. He tries to catch up with me. No, he doesn't try to catch up with me. He's only walking, he's keep up the speed Sonic. But, it's like Mega Collection, I believe it's, if you play Sonic 3 20 times, or Sonic 3 10 times, and then Sonic and Knuckles 10 times, or something like that, both in one sitting, it'll automatically unlock Sonic 3 and Knuckles for you to play. By the way, sometimes I've had Tails just keep bouncing on Robotnik right there and killing him outright immediately. If I have this fire shield, these fireballs don't hurt me, which is awesome. Yeah, Tails can help you in boss levels, just kicks ass. But, anyways. So I'm gonna have to end off the episode. Not right after I do this, actually, so. But, yeah, you can also play this on Sonic Mega Collection, which is probably the easiest way, since it's on the PS2 and Xbox. And not terribly time-consuming to actually unlock. Kind of weird how you don't have to unlock a game on Mega Collection, but whatever.